The Maestro's kit just dropped, and yes, he looks to be an absolute monster, no pun intended. He literally is immune to everything. The guy can have up to 90% drain. He's going to be difficult to deal with. And so today what we're looking at is the version of the Maestro that we're going to have in the player's hands. We have the player kit Maestro. Let's go ahead and take a look. We'll start out with the notes here. It says, in a blasted future where heroes fell and hope burned out, Bruce Banner survived the apocalypse by fusing his genius with the Hulk's fury, emerging as Maestro, a tyrant who rules the ruins with gamma-born super strength, near invulnerability, and a savage healing factor, all guided by a brilliant, cruel mind. As his iron grip tightens, he hunts down any spark of rebellion, crushing challengers with bone-shaking power while outsmarting them with cold strategy, proving he's not just the strongest monster left, he's the smartest. So we actually have a lot of information right here. The kit, as we're going to see, focuses in on those traits that it mentioned. This near invulnerability, a savage healing factor, but the brilliant, cruel mind, that's going to have to come from us. And of course, since he's a Hulk, we know he has super strength. We're going to go ahead and look at the kit. Then afterwards, we're going to try to see if there's characters we can use to really enhance his playability. Let's go ahead and get into the information. His speed stat is 126. That's not incredible. So it's something that we're going to need to keep in mind. We might need to protect him in some way, shape, or form. He is a villain, global, bio, brawler, gamma. So since he's a brawler, he's a damage dealer. He's going to be outputting damage. We expect that. But as we say, with a mediocre speed, we might have to keep him protected to make sure he's able to do what he needs to do. ISO 8 and counterattack. So whenever he counters, he's going to attack the primary target for damage. Some of it's going to be piercing. He's going to clear 2 positive effects. And if the target has wrath, you're going to apply 2 bleeds for 2 turns. So we see here, this is the first mention of that wrath. There'll be more explanation, hopefully, as we get, I shouldn't say hopefully, there is more explanation as we get into his passive ability, but let's work our way down for how things are going to happen. His basic, armed to the teeth. And would you look at the image there? Look at the image. He's coming at us with the Winter Soldier's arm. This is craziness. He's coming at us with the Winter Soldier's arm. He's armed to the teeth. Well, what's this going to do? Attack primary target for damage. 350% damage. 2 positive effects will be cleared. Apply 2 bleed for 2 turns. So we're starting to see a pattern. Bleeds are being applied, and we already know stacks of bleed can be devastating, right? And bleed damage increases according to the damage of the character. Maestro is going to have some big damage. He's not only going to hit you, but you're going to get those damage over times with these potent bleed stacks. It's going to be a problem. If any enemy has 3 wrath, do the following instead. You're going to attack all enemies for damage, reduce the duration of safeguard by 2, clear 2 positive effects, and apply 2 bleed for 2 turns. Gain speed up for 2 turns. This can only trigger once per match. Now, by itself, this looks to be very pedestrian, right? It doesn't seem overpowering. Well, how could this only happen once per match? As we continue to move through the kit, you're going to see the potential for explosive damage. And if we get to if it gets to the point where he's using this on a person, chances are much of your team is already damaged. This is an attack all. It's going to do a lot to whoever's still standing. I think that's what the explosive damage we talked about, or they mentioned in the kit. We'll have to see when we get our hands on the actual character. Special ability, Silver Spoils. And once again in the picture, what's going on? It looks like we're going upside the head. We're going upside the head with Silver Surfer's board on the enemy, man. Maestro's old school, bro. Maestro's old. He's like your old grandpa, man. Just grizzled. What'd you say? I mean, you want to go upside your head. You got that vintage. You know, some of us got that old grandpa, man, who got that vintage, you know, I got this paddle. It's been, you know, my father made it passed down. I mean, that's what I see the Maestro doing. Hey, this was crafted by Galactus himself. This is genuine Silver Surfer board right here. And he's going upside your head with it. What's it going to do? Well, the energy cost is 3/3. So it's available right away. You're going to either be using that basic or you're probably coming in right here with that special ability on your first turn to set the tone. What's it going to do? You're going to attack the primary and adjacent targets for damage. Flip all positives into negatives, right? That's bad. Bury yourself for 30% of this character's max health, and he's going to have an extraordinarily high health pool, right? So when you talk about burying for him, right, that's something to keep in mind. That might be something we want to lean into for his ISO 8, right? Maybe Fortifier is the appropriate thing. There's going to be a lot of ways to play this. We're going to have to think about it. For enemies with Wrath, apply the following negative effects for 2 turns. 2 more bleeds, defense down, and trauma. So you're going to flip these positives into negatives. You're going to give them 2 bleeds. They get a defense down and a trauma, making it difficult to remove those negative effects. And then deal 10% of this character's max health as damage. Again, very high health pool. 10% of his max health. It's going to be a problem. And so, again, this character that has the Wrath, maybe you're not necessarily targeting them. Maybe they're just in the cone of attack here, right? It's primary and adjacent targets. So, again, I'm in my mind, I'm conceptualizing, hey, this character, again, he's in that cone of fire. I'm going to attack here. He's also going to get hit, and maybe that's enough to eliminate that character, okay? If he's eliminated, we'll get into the details a little bit, but it seems like perhaps only one person can have the Wrath at a time. If you eliminate him, then another person gets it. And I think maybe that's how you use this character to kind of focus your way through and damage the team. His ultimate, Broken Storm. He's wielding both Stormbreakers, right? So he's got Thor's, he's got Beta Ray Bill's, and I see his eyes are glowing red there. So I wonder I'm very curious to see how this animation is going to look. His ultimate ability. It starts out at energy of 4/6. So we need 2 turns to get it up to par, unless there's some way we can speed that up, maybe giving him some energy. We'll have to see. It's going to clear barrier from all enemies, and that's going to attack all enemies for 400% piercing damage. So this is the only ability where the entirety of his damage is piercing. It's all going through. Prolong the duration of all those negative effects by 1, except for ability block, bleed, and stun. So that's a very interesting choice. So they're allowing us to stack these bleeds, but they don't want us to prolong them here. And stun obviously is something that we don't really lean into. Very rare. Very few characters can prolong stun. For enemies with Wrath, you're going to apply 3 more bleeds and a defense down before the attack. So you got 400% piercing damage going in before the attack takes place. Or excuse me, the 400% piercing damage, and before the attack takes place, he's getting a defense down, right? That could be a problem. That could be a problem. This attack ignores defense up, so even if you had defense up, he's pretending like you didn't. Enemies killed by this attack cannot be revived. So again, this is ultimate ability. It looks to be very potent. Really curious to see how it works in real life and in real time. We'll get into the passive here. A Trophy Tyrant. So on spawn, you're going to get Safeguard. And when it's his turn, right on turn, every time it's the Maestro's turn, if there's at least 2 enemies, right? So 2 or more enemies, every time it's his turn, you gain an additional 30% drain up to a maximum of 90%. That's ridiculous. He's going to have one of the highest damage stats in the game. And every time he attacks, he's going to be healing himself with this drain. Again, maybe healer might be an option for him as well, just to keep him around. We don't know. We'll have to, again, play with the stats, play with the character when that time comes and see what's happening. And here's a crazy thing. Every time it's his turn, he gets an additional 10% speed up to a maximum of an additional 30% speed. Now, I think he had 128 to start. So if I'm understanding correctly, I'm not a math guy, but if I'm understanding correctly, that means he's topping out at 160 something speed, like 163 or something like that. Hopefully I'll be able to put it on screen. He's topping out 163 speed. That's the highest, right? He'll be faster than anybody else in the game. So the longer the fight goes on, just right, madder Hulk gets, stronger Hulk gets. So the longer the fight goes on, he literally gets more powerful. So again, finding some way to just kind of protect him, to keep him going, that's going to be important. Because again, the longer he's in the match, the more problematic things become. When this character is in attack, so someone attacks the Maestro, what happens? If an enemy has Wrath, they're going to give him another Wrath up to a maximum of 3 to that enemy. I do have a question. I guess I should have asked. I didn't get it answered. What do stacks of Wrath do? Maybe we're going to learn more about the Wrath icon. Maybe it's just something that's on their head. It just kind of is what it is. Maybe it carries its own stat changes or something like that, like some of the other negative effects do, special effects from the characters, or maybe it's just a targeting item that we have to look out for. But since they stack, I wonder, are they eliminated when a character takes a turn, or does the stack effect do something else? That part wasn't mentioned in the kit. I'll have to ask. If nobody has Wrath, then you apply Wrath to the attacking enemy. So enemy number 1, bang, he hits the Maestro, he gets the Wrath. At some point, if that person gets eliminated, when another person attacks, that person gets the Wrath. But only one character at a time, it appears, can have Wrath. So first person hits him, he gets it. Second person hits him, they just stack up on that original person. And again, if it's amplified by some of the things we already saw, we can see that can get out of hand really, really quickly, eliminating a character, and then the Wrath can be acquired by the next character, whittling down your team very quickly. This character, the Maestro, cannot gain defense up or minor defense up. Why? Well, we'll keep reading. When this character is above 50% health, this character is immune to all negative effects except stun. So this is the only way we control him with a stun. Will that translate to the Battle World Maestro? I'm not sure. Perhaps. Maybe it will. The character is immune to darkness. He gains 50% damage reduction, hence why he cannot gain defense up or minor defense up, because he always, at least when he's above 50% health, he always has 50% damage reduction. That's what defense up does, and it can't be removed. That's the dangerous part, right? So he's just always walking around, as long as he's above that 50% health, with defense up. He has 50% focus to make an extra focus to make sure that those things land, all those bleeds and things of that nature, and 50% resistance. So even if you're able to get that stun in, it is possible that he could resist it. Interesting character. We'll look at the concept, how they were putting the guy together. I like it, man. I like stuff like this. You can tell what they're thinking, how they're trying to bring the character to life. Again, this is very true of the Maestro that we see inside of Marvel Comics. We have leather for the pants, gold for the shoulder pauldrons there, metal arm parts. That kind of reminds me of Colossus. I mean, he's wearing something like that in the comics anyway, but it looks like our Maestro from Marvel Strike Force. Everything he has is from our universe inside of Marvel Strike Force. So I'm just wondering if that is indeed the case. His belt there, made of that fabric. So again, I like that stuff, man. Boots are leather material. Again, this is just additional things for those of us who are nerdy and really like to get into the characters and their design. Now, how would we maybe be able to use the Maestro in game? Let's go ahead and take a look and get some ideas. So first things first, we need to understand what he's capable of, and the stats play a big picture. There's a little defect. His power overall isn't really listed in this chart right now. I'm going to assume that he's coming at the #1 position. That might not be true, but we see that he is incredibly strong. Health, 4th overall in the game. And we had a lot of abilities that leaned into his maximum health as part of the damage. So not only do you have to whittle this health pool down, but he's wielding it against you as part of the damage. And his damage in general is 2nd overall, just right behind Daredevil, who does indeed have TNT in his batons. So he's the 2nd strongest, highest damage dealer in the game. And again, when it comes to those bleeds, when it comes to those things that say part of his maximum health is also the damage, that's going to push this damage stat way, way above where it is right now. Armor 7th, so he's difficult to injure. Focus 8th. This is going to make sure that those negative effects lands. The only stat that's outside of the top 10 is his resistance, coming in at 26, but he does have 50% increased resistance as long as he's above 50% health. Again, so keeping these things in mind, it's going to help us understand how to play the character. His standard speed stat is 126, not super amazing, but we saw that he can get speed up, and we know that his speed will continue to increase every time he takes a turn. I was trying to think of, with the last couple teams that have come out, would it make sense to kind of fit Maestro into one of these teams? He doesn't seem to be gated to a game mode, right? So Sentry, for example, is made to be good in Crucible. Not that he's not good other places, but he has call outs in his text for Crucible. Maestro did not, kind of like Null, right? So he's kind of a little bit more plug and play. We look at the Daring Warriors, for example, he would replace Daredevil. Again, the damage, Daredevil hits hard. He would probably replace Daredevil. The advantage in this case would be for Jessica Jones, and we would be using her abilities to kind of give energy, right? All of her abilities are able to generate energy. So again, so right here, for ability energy for random allies, you just be hoping that extra landed on the Maestro so that could get you closer to your ultimate or get you sped back up, right? As the character speeds up, get you sped back up. So all of her abilities, again, grant ability energy for random people. Just something to keep in mind. It might be something we could use. What about the champions? So I was thinking of Miss Marvel in the sense that she does give brawlers an automatic assist, but they have to be hero brawlers. And Maestro obviously is not a hero. He's a villain. She is a tank, though. She is a tank, and this team does have 2 tanks. So we would start off with Kid Nova here doing his taunt on spawn. And then you could ping pong the taunts between Nova and Miss Marvel. And hopefully that keeps the pressure off Maestro. We probably replace Miles, get him out of the way. He just doesn't fit, I guess. I'm not going to say that. He'd probably be the guy we drop. There is a little bit of gamma effect with Braun. There is some gamma we can lean into here with Braun on spawn, in war at least, right? He gets speed up to him and all gamma allies. So in war, you could start out with Maestro having speed up. When this character or any gamma ally drops below 50% health, fill that character's speed bar by 15% and apply offense up. So that would happen, right? If the Maestro drops below 50%, he at least can get some speed. He himself doesn't, well, his moves drain, right? His moves drain. So he could get himself back up. If he gets to a move faster, his moves drain and he'll have offense up. And since we're talking about war, we don't want to forget about Moon Girl. If she's on this team, if she's on the champions, we pop one person out, it still works because we would have 3 champions still, champion allies. Enemies cannot reduce speed bar for themselves, enemies or allies. So it still will help us to control the flow and stop people from getting after our Maestro early on. Winter Guard is always a devastating option, right? They're a very strong war team as it is. And we got the Red Guardian here. We go to his passive ability on spawn. He gains taunt. So again, the same thing is good here. You have 2 tanks that are going to be taking the aggro, right? So we have Red Guardian and we have Ursa Major. So you're going to have 2 tanks that can ping pong off each other, keeping our guy Maestro safe. New Mutants is another spot where he could be. Again, I didn't power up Magic. That's somebody that sometimes people are going to leave off anyway. If not, then it would be Sunspot, right? But Cannonball is a tank. And again, we go here on spawn, gain 2 deflect and taunt for 2 turns. And that's not locked to a game mode, right? That's not locked to a game mode. So this is an on spawn. We're just thinking about on spawn taunts, teams that are made to take damage. So this team, the New Mutants, is made to take damage. They're made to take hits. They're going to have a tank right away. And it just stops people from getting at Maestro early unless they have some type of area effect attack, which is fine, right? But then they're going to incur that wrath, which is something we want them to do at some point. They got to attack Maestro, and we'll be ready when they do. One of my favorite teams in the game is the Immortal Weapons. So Iron Fist is a tank there, but he's not going to on spawn, right? The team is made to just shield up and take hits. So with that in mind, people could go after the Maestro. The team, again, is ready to shield up and take hits and then burn you down. So unless you can get him out quickly, right? The Maestro, unless you can get him out quickly, which we don't have characters. I don't think we have characters in the game yet that are just made to drill him out. It can happen. but you still have to deal with the rest of the Immortal weapons, right? If you're focusing on the Maestro, and once they get spun up, again, they are another team that's very hard to deal with. So even if he's just used as a decoy, like you have to either get him or try to control the team, I think you're still going to be in really good shape. And then obviously we have the Fantastic Four MCU. We're going to be popping out one of those two other guys, Human Torch or the Thing anyway. They're going to get speed. Mr. Fantastic doesn't taunt immediately, but the team goes very fast, right? And you have to deal with those other three characters. First, they get to take their turns, control the opponent. Then you got the Maestro. Then Mr. Fantastic is going to taunt. Could be interesting. Could be a very interesting setup. There's also a couple other characters that I've been thinking about. Let's take a look. This might be where we could use some of those Galactic Council members. Now, I'm not saying power them up, because obviously I didn't power mine up. I'm not saying power them up, but some of the things that we used to do back in the day are coming back around again. These individual characters might not do anything, right? The team looks mediocre. It might not do anything, but some of these characters can help make the game good again. So what could happen again? We have a 50% chance on his turn. It's not great to give ability energy to adjacent allies, not Blastar. So we looked at that before. It's like, well, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you give power to Blastar? Well, maybe it's meant for something else. So in this case, if you just put Star-Lord on the team, you have this opportunity to give Maestro energy. His special ability, Clever Distraction. I mean, this is what we used to do back in the day. For those of us who've been playing the game for a long time, we used Star-Lord for this. Generate 2 ability energy to random adjacent allies. So if you put Star-Lord in the corner and then you put Maestro next to him, the only place the energy can go is to the Maestro. Since Star-Lord's speed is only 120, we can't use this to get our ultimate ability off for the Maestro right away, but it is something to keep in mind that perhaps we can use it to recharge his abilities as he goes faster. We also have She-Hulk being reworked recently to be on the Retcon team. There's not really a lot of Gamma synergy. Oh, that's still there. There's not really a ton. It's just mainly her passive. If you attack Gammas, right, and Retcon, but if we were to pull her off, then it would just be her and Maestro. Maybe Brawn, like we said, if you attack Gammas and she's charged, then she's going to transfer all those negative effects to the enemy with the most damage and attack that person, right? It's good, right? It's good. I don't know if it's enough to build a team around. And then if we just look at Gamma as a whole, a lot of them haven't been reworked. So if more Gamma characters come out, if more characters, right, we probably have a team or two that will still be released before the Maestro actually is available for people. And then, right, there's teams coming after that. But I'm curious to know what you think. Where could we plug and play the Maestro in? Are you looking forward to getting the character? Are you theory crafting what he could do, what he can't do, what his strengths and weaknesses are? What ISO 8 should we be thinking about, right? Fortifier seems like it's something. So does a healer and maybe striker, man. I don't know, right? I don't know. We'll have to see. Critical hits, again, everything's still on the table, right? Raider, so everything's still on the table. Still very early, but I'm excited to see this character, see what he can do. Hopefully you are as well. Please put some comments in the chat. Let's talk about it more. Can keep the discussion going. And if you haven't seen this video right here, please check it out. It's legit.